Welcome back, everyone. We're just about ready to get into our next set. It's Vici Gaming taking on Edward Gaming, one of the last place teams in the LPL right now, taking on one of the old... What's with the smile? Just trying not to giggle there?
Yeah, it's just funny to me looking at the matchup, Dub. I don't know. I start this matchup smiling because it's like, poor Vici.
Yeah,
that's how it feels.
It's real tough. But hey, let's actually get into it, okay? Because crazier things have happened. You just said so yourself.
Yep.
SKT lost to MVP just a few days ago. A few hours ago,
night,
it seems like, yeah. Is it possible? Is there a snowball's chance, Rusty?
Anything is possible.
Okay, all right.
Especially in the LPL, given what's happened so far in this split. We don't really know what any outcomes are. It's kind of like whose line is it anyway for League of Legends at the moment, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But Vici winning this game, definitive upset. No, to be perfectly honest with you guys, EDG are stronger in every single lane, in every single way. They should not conceivably be able to lose this set. But what we want to see from Vici first and foremost is improvement. That's what we're looking for. Vici are a side that have been in the LPL, they got relegated, they went to the LSPL and qualified back through by being the best team down there, and they should show signs of improvement as they come back into the LPL again. They find their feet, they find the ability to grow, adapt and learn now that they're surrounded by higher caliber competition, and that's what we're looking for Vici, honestly. But at the same time, the threat's always there, and it's just a lingering concern. You know, do EDG find a way to lose? They haven't been playing their best.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Like we said, this is still a bit of a younger team for EDG. Looking at Ray, looking at Haro joining in. And while they have standout individual performances from time to time, they still aren't quite at the well-oiled machine that we know that EDG has been in the past. So still some room to improve. But Vici, you can see them on the other side on your screen right now. Some very serious faces. They know the dynasty that they're up against.
Currently, without a victory as well, Vici.
Yeah.
No set win on behind them, so they do need to find it. And so definitely should be somber faces and very serious looks between them all. EDG, they're by no means at the top of the standings either, though they are performing better as the weeks go on. The young rookies are starting to step up as we go through the rosters.
Yeah, first up for Vici, it's Long, Crash, EasyHoon, Martin, and Caveman.
And I do think that EasyHoon has been having a relatively strong split. He is just still learning to work with all of the team around him and how they come together in unison. He knows Long, he should know Martin and Caveman. They've been together for quite a while now. Crash is the new Korean addition to the roster, someone that was meant to be aggressive, but he's been everything but so far.
Well, his opponent on the other side, perhaps emulating a bit of his protege, like Clear Love, Ray, Haro, Scout, iBoy, and Mako.
And Haro has been a blessing and a curse for EDG at times. He has been the best thing to ever happen. Baron steals, you name it. Haro came up as MVP in their last set as well. Super clutch play, but at the same time, he can get caught out of position. He can make some mistakes, and that's where Mako comes into play for the most part. For EDG, get through laning phase, then you've probably already done the correct things to win a game right now, because Mako can then take the reins of the shot calling. For EDG to lose in laning phase, though, Haro influences so much of the map that perhaps that could be where they get exploited.
Yeah, you can absolutely see all of that prestige that the team is bringing, but looks like our casters are just about ready to get us into game. First, though, let's hear what iBoy has to say about EDG's communication.
现在 EDG 沟通上，肯定是没有以前好的，因为增加了2个新人进来，主要是沟通上的问题吧。以前的 EDG 沟通上做得好，危机的话以前降级过，然后又升上来过，然后不过我觉得他面对我们的话，他们的经验跟团队运营是比不过我们的。
Well, definitely makes sense that they would have problems in terms of communication, but they are getting much better. My name is Richard Polscam. I'm alongside Brent Mohammed. How are you doing? This is the first official Rush Hour cast of the split. Feels pretty good, man. It's week 3 already as well.
Are you real? Because I haven't had you over here in a long time.
It's been so long, Raz. It's literally been so long. You came with that one subcast, and that's like literally been it.
That's true. That's true. Well, it's nice to be right beside you. And it's for an exciting set. To me, at the very least. I like this set, just because, of course...
Raz, on a scale of 1 to getting spanked, how do you think this is going to go to Vici?
Look, all right, give them a chance, okay? I will give them one opportunity. Long is back.
He is.
He's back on the field. We haven't seen him being played in the LPL in a very long time. And that is not a pun. Sure, it is a pun. Not a pun I was trying to make.
There, Raz?
But we haven't. One thing that we did see a lot of when it came to Long's play was in the LSPL. Now, that's one thing that I really want to open up when it comes to Vici Gaming, because that was a primary focus on how they were able to get leads was Crash's early aggressive play. We're not seeing that often, and we used to see it quite a bit in the top side of the map. But now we were seeing him and Meow, and he was never really in Meow's lane. Meow was just alone in his own, getting dived time after time, and it's not on Meow. I think Meow has been having a pretty good showing, but we haven't seen that synergy, and I think this would be the first real step that we get to see that.
Yeah, you have to wonder though, because with Long, like I don't know if it's going to be an instant upgrade, because like you take a look at the team and maybe he works better with the team, but it's not going to solve all the problems immediately of Vici, because I think they run a lot deeper than it's just like we swap in our top laner and everything's okay.
That's true, because they haven't taken a single game in the LPL thus far, and it really does come into a point of focus. It's like, well, what is their winning point of the map?
Yeah,
it's not mid lane because EZHoon's not really playing a pressure early game champion like the Rise. There's no gank pressure happening there. The bottom side of the map, well, they're just left to their own devices until team fight. So that's not really a point that they can fight for. Though I think that if we see an Alistar coming out of Caveman, that can change a few things.
Yeah.
But for the Vici Gaming, the LSPL, it's been top lane dives, it's been top lane plays, it's been the 2v2 that has been a primary focus of the team. So it's nice to see if that runs well going up against EDG with Haro and Ray.
I'm just looking at all these fan signs as well. Apparently the last one said, Mako #1 supporter in the LPL.
Yeah.
So good luck, mate. You're going up against it. And you're going up against EDG as well. Like, frankly, they're still the flagship team of the LPL. No matter what player you put in this roster, they're still just going to be good.
Yeah, it's like, technically, this is not a home stadium for any team. Of course, there's Hangzhou, Chongqing, and sooner or later it'll be Chengdu as well.
Yep.
But every single time EDG plays, it feels like it's a home stadium for EDG. Because the crowd will 100% be behind EDG. You hear the chant as you go into level 1. It'll come through on the mics. And you know what? If you're a player of Vici Gaming, that sets in. Just a little bit.
It does, and they have a lot of problems, that's for certain, but EDG, they're just slowly getting better and better, I think of like all of the quote-unquote top teams you look towards, IG, RNG, WE, like EDG have the, I would say, the least problems in terms of growing up. Like they don't have as many teething problems.
Exactly, and one of their biggest problems is, it's not even that big of a problem. It's getting used to having a carry top laner. It's getting used to having a style in which you haven't had since the inception of the organization.
Yeah, it's like the problem is the top lane just has more options to give you.
Yeah, and you're just like, well, we just have to get comfortable with this. We have to know what that actually means. And sure, another real problem is also the, we already heard iBoy talk about this in the video earlier on, is that communication needs to get better because suddenly they have a new jungler as well. Clear Love isn't there for them. So having Haro, build Haro up, that could be something that needs to be fixed. But the best thing about that is that solution's already there because Mako is a great shot caller himself. So it's not necessarily a blind spot that they have to fix, because if you look towards EDG versus Vici Gaming, I would say EDG have stronger communication.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like iBoy was saying, right? The team's, the only weakness they really have right now is communication. And thank God Mako still exists on the roster, so, he is still the old guard. Because if they didn't have him, they'd literally have no one. They'd just have to kind of fumble. But I think, like, of all the teams, EDG has the support staff and the organization that is never really going to be that much of a problem. Yeah,
and it just hits their goals as well. EDG's goal is being the top team in the league. Vici's goal is just trying to compete.
Yep, they still don't have a single win on the board. Like, not even in terms of series, but in terms of games. They are 0-8 right now, Raz. That's actually technically worse than top. Because top they managed to get 1 win.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's not even a technicality, even though we've been hitting TOP for a long time. Vici is now coming in without a single victory. This is going to be a hard one to actually try and say, oh, maybe this is going to be that set.
Yeah.
But for them, at the very least, they're not too focused on winning. They're focused on improving. Improving means, sure, you may lose at the end of the day, but actually, what is the improvement you make? Early game needs to be a clear focus. Now that you bring Long onto the team, does he go back to the Shen picks that he's been known for?
Yeah.
Does he go towards I'll say Gnar, because his Gnar has actually been incredible last time we saw him in the LPL, right? So this is one carry pick and one team play pick that I think really works well for this team and can shift their focus towards being that kind of, if he picks a Shen, team fight team, look for a dive bottom lane. If he goes for a Gnar, then try and dive top.
I mean, I want to say with Vici that they may actually have the tools to do something, because they have Long, they have in the jungle what should be an aggressive jungler, they have EZHoon, He's gone to the World Championships. He's won the World Championships.
Yes.
Like it seems like they should have the tools. We just haven't seen it in the LPL, right? But when you look at like LSPL, Demacia Cup, and even like Crash at Worlds, they still have this ability to do it. We just haven't seen it in the LPL this year.
Yeah, and that's why when you have to really dive deep into the kind of the depth, the pathing that Crash has been going for, it's not nearly as impactful early game that we really expected from him. We expected him to be in the jungler space if he has a proper matchup, in lanes at the very least if he has a proper matchup, but when he gets a proper matchup for himself, like Lee Sin into Jarvan really early on, or if he goes for these, if he's gifted these matchups, he oftentimes goes for full clears or a slower clear. That's not what we want to see from him. It's kind of like we were expecting a Rogue Warriors effect, where you want the Lee Sin or the Flawless, essentially, constantly being that fighting point for his team in the early game.
And that's just, as you said, not really what we've seen so far, which is a little bit sad, to be honest, because Crash at Worlds was great. Like, Crash basically changed the entire team around him, whereas I feel in this case, EasyHoon is the man who is like changing the whole team around him, very much warps the style of every other player on the team for better or worse, right? Because it can definitely work, you know, especially with like Azir rising up in priority and the fact that 8.2 is on the horizon. Like, it seems like now or like the next patch should be Vici's time to shine. Yeah,
and I know that a lot of people do end up criticizing EasyHoon's champion pool or style of play. I would say that when you look for a style of play, when you pick a Froggen or if you pick an EasyHoon, you want another lane that you can really bridge you into that late game portion of it, right? Because that works well for you. If EasyHoon's consistently playing well, if he's a point of consistency in the mid lane, and if he's essentially like a star that you really want to build around, then build around him. Build someone that you want to be playing on the top side of the map or on the bottom side of the map. Bottom side's already been locked down with Martin and Caveman for being team fighters, so then it has to be on the top side of the map, which is why I think this top lane switch for Vici is key, and I want to see something different from Long.
Yeah, I want to see what Long can bring, because as you were saying, like I really like the comparisons between this team and Rogue Warriors, because it's like Doinby and how he's playing around bot lane now. But we're into Champions Slate now with Vici and EDG. Got the bans coming through. Zoe and Jarvan out from Vici, trying to eliminate some of that early aggression from EDG. And it will be Kha'Zix and Gangplank from Edward Gaming.
All right, so that means that the Lee Sin is still up and available for Crash at the very least, but Azir has been a primary pick for Scout. I wonder if they leave the Azir up, Vici that is, and look to first pick that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to assume so. Like, name a more iconic duo than EasyHoon and Azir, so I reckon they'll probably just leave it open if they do leave it open at all. But they will ban out Caitlyn, so it's over to EDG if they do want to take away the Azir now.
Yeah, they're really forcing EDG in a scenario to ban or really think about what the first picks are. Because Sejuani's up, they might end up picking Sejuani away from Vici. But I still don't know what Vici's priority is currently going into this set. Because the reason why I was focused on the Azir is because that's been a Scout special this split. But if you give away Sejuani, then what is Crash actually going to be playing against that? Because we haven't really seen him walk into the Sejuani's jungle early on and look to upset that.
True. We'll have to see. Maybe he'll just go for another tank jungler. We don't know yet, but Vici, see what their priority is going to be. Like, we're both assuming it should be Azir. The fact he's been left open, it's a contested pick between both mid laners, but Kalista is still on the table, and it is what they're hovering, and is what they locked in.
Okay, Kalista's an interesting point. That gives the bottom lane an early game opening for Crash now. So now Alistar might end up being picked away. EDG would really want that for themselves because Caveman is an Alistar player. His career thus far in the league has been centered around Alistar play. If you give them Kalista Alistar, that could be a good early game point for EDG.
Actually, what EDG are even looking towards, because they also prioritize their own AD carry pick in the form of Cogmore, but at the end of the day, it's iBoy, so you just give him a hyper carry and he just kind of does his own thing. So we'll see if EDG actually try and take away the Alistar now. Do they try and prioritize mid lane? No, they actually go towards jungle. It will be Lee Sin Vihara.
Taking the Lee Sin away from Crash. Now, funny thing about EDG is that whenever Lee Sin's been echoed, or at least kind of like the statement has been made as like EDG and Lee Sin, it's been kind of memed, just because Clearlove has never been known as a Lee Sin player. But now you bring in Haro, and his mechanics have been pretty clear. We've seen him on the Rengar picks. We've seen him on Rek'Sai a little bit. Lee Sin is going to be a fun pick to see how he plays here.
Yeah, I'd say in the last like 1 or 2 sets, Haru has really looked to come into his own. I think before that he was definitely just like getting used to the stage, but I think now Haru, we see the reason why he's a starter on EDG. On the opposite side, Crash is going to lock in Sejuani for himself, and there's the Azir we were waiting for, finally going to be picked up by Vici. I was like, there's no way it doesn't get through first rotation. Someone's going to have to pick it. The opposite side, Rise will be coming in for Scout as well.
Yeah, if it just goes into second phase and suddenly you're saying, well, you know what? what? The Zoe's banned. The Malzahar is probably going to get banned away with these two mid laners. Then you're really digging deep into what these mid laners can play. So it makes a lot of sense. It just kind of showcases an interesting aspect that EDG were willing to pick the Rise into the Azir, knowing that Azir would be picked up early on. So it can kind of create an opportunity for Haro, a gank opportunity at the very least.
Yeah. Something for him to look towards as well. We don't know what the top lane is right now from either team, so that could also be something they could move towards. Gnar has been banned away to that respect.
He's really funny. So the Gnar getting banned because that's a Luong pick. If the Shen gets banned, oh, thank God. Then we'd have a problem where they're really just looking back. They're legitimately doing research onto two of the key Luong picks. So I wonder if Luong actually, first time back in the LPL, does go back onto the Shen.
Or whether he has something new for us as
That's
well.
true.
But he might also go for the Shen. I mean, what have we got in terms of damage? We've got Kalista and Azir. So in terms of damage, you're probably okay when you get to late game anyway.
And Ornn is available, so like, why wouldn't he pick that? There are two major tanks that he could go towards, and he would be forced to pick in that direction just because he's going across a carry-type player that is definitely going to find a way to get last pick.
Yep. And that's exactly why they banned out Camille. But Ornn's going to be picked up by Ray, though, in the top lane.
Could be a support.
Could
That's
be,
still an
could be
option.
support. That's true. It is a flex.
Just wonder if Ray would want to pick that for himself really early on when they have red side priority, if they're just going to pick support last pick.
I know we've gone between ourselves a lot on this, but we all feel like, unleash Ray, give him a carry. Stop giving it. You have a carry in the top lane. He can carry. Give him a carry. There's the Shen.
All right, Luong. Literally going back
see you.
into the, going right back into the 2016 backpack. Just like, yo, what can I play? They banned the Gnar.
Well, I have Gnar and Shen, so
I've got Shen. Please do this. Caveman always trolls in this part of the champion select, so just never look at the actual
avert
screen.
your eyes.
Every single time he starts going through these picks, trust nothing. It's either going to be the Alistar or the Thresh. I'll respect Thresh.
Stop hurrying Nunu. It's not 8.2 yet.
I respect. Whoa!
Wait a minute.
Okay, so everybody, it is 8.1 now.
But does K-Man know this?
So the best thing about Nunu, I'll put this out there because this needs to be said. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. I was about to.
It was definitely a mispick.
Okay.
We heard it from production.
I have to discuss this because Nunu is actually still like back in the day when it was a Nunu jungle.
Yeah.
It was picked with the Azir because you increase his attack speed.
Yeah.
In 8.2, not only do you increase their attack speed, but you also give the man AP.
Nunu's a walking Nash's tooth.
Yes. So take this off my screen. It's not 8.2. It's 8.1. Pick a legitimate support.
Yep.
Thank you.
That seemed way too deliberate. It wasn't like a timeout. He was literally hovering his ear. I wonder if someone literally told him, like, by the way, it's not 8.2.
I don't know. They rectified that one pretty quickly.
They did.
Okay. So, yeah. All right. Okay. I'll just talk about the Shen a little bit because that was a pick that I was looking towards. We haven't seen too much Shen, and the Shen that we have seen thus far this split has been support Shens.
Yep.
Support Shens allowed for playmaking on the top side of the map, which is nice to see. And a lot of the times it was paired with Ezreal. Not a winning lane, so a lot of the times, I think BLG did this quite a bit. No, OMG did really early on that they would have that Shen support with an Ezreal tagged along, and you would try to make mid lane fights, top lane fights. It's very hard to stick onto that. I like Shen top lane a lot more, just because you give yourself the skirmishing of the lane, still pretty good to gank for as well. And then, of course, adds to your jungle trying to pile on towards the bottom lane. If you can round up your mid laner, easy hoon and crash, dart towards the bottom side of the map with a Shen ulti on top of that, that is a 5v4, ladies and gentlemen. Or at the very least until the enemy TP comes through. And I like Shen plays because that really engages or at least activates early skirmishing, early fighting in the game.
But you're talking about like support Shen there as well, but I feel like with the amount of people running Unsealed Spellbook nowadays, everybody has teleport.
Yeah.
Like Shen arrives and then you see 6 teleports come around the play. It's just like, well, it looks like I'm not special anymore, am I?
For anybody that didn't watch the last set, there was
7.
There was every single member went into the inspiration tree except for the junglers.
There were
primary.
8 primary inspiration trees.
And then you had inspiration. If you're the jungler, you had inspiration secondary.
Yeah.
Inspiration's pretty good as long as you can get the Cosmic Insight and Spellbook. What are actual summoner spells cooldown? You can't time. Well, you can time it, but you'd have to press tab first.
Yep.
Just to see what they actually have available to them.
Yep. But it doesn't mean less action happens. I feel like that's where the misconception is with a lot of regions right now. Like, people have Spellbook, and they take the Hourglass, the stopwatch, and just go in.
Yeah, it's not about what you have, it's about how you use it, ladies and gentlemen. And in the LPL,
True.
we go
True
in,
statement.
we dive constantly. If you haven't watched a single Sinning game, Sinning dives a lot with their inspiration nonsense. A lot of it being stopwatch.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We're back into Champion Select, as you can see, so we're going to fast lock in these picks. So hopefully everyone can remember what they picked.
This is not fun. When I was when I would be going through when I was coaching, and you just have to remake pick ban, you just go through troll bans because it's not like you're gonna ban them anyways.
Yep.
But you know, you kind of have to, I suppose.
You do. I mean, sometimes I've definitely been there, especially in the amateur scene, where people do troll bans and accidentally ban something that's been picked, or the enemy team wanted to pick.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially in like amateur semi-pro play, where people can bring out literally anything.
Suddenly it's like,
oh, you banned my Amumu.
You actually wanted to play a Kali here. Okay, well, suspect.
Okay, well, remake. Yeah, Braun was the final ban there from EDG. There's Dion once again. We're just waiting on the support from Caveman. All right, Caveman.
And this is the thing. This could be a support Shen as well. So we get... Stop hovering it. Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
I was about to throw something on Sage right now. The Bard does come out.
We've got Bard, yeah. We've only been played 3 times, though, in the LPL so far.
Yeah, a lot of it was on Jingdong. Jingdong really showcased what Bard can do, and now we get to see it on Caveman, and Caveman is a Bard player. A lot of it was either Alistar, Bard, just a lot of action from the man.
Yep.
So he really wants to get the plays going. He is a shot calling for the team, and so getting onto Bard, as well as having Shen available to them, it's a lot of dive potential.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that you picked Bard over like Alistar, though, because Alistar was still open and they have Kalista bot lane. But
yeah,
you know, Bard's going to be able to just smack iBoy in the face in the laning phase, so that's going to be nice.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Would have rather seen the Alistar play because it's just more consistent in team fights. Bard is a playmaker in his own name, just because sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. But if you're Alistar, technically you can't have a bad team fight as long as you press Alt and you are just sitting in front of 3 people.
Yeah.
So Alistar, especially with the Kalista pick, would work incredible. But with the Bard, especially if Bard plays well, if this is Caveman's game, then you know what? Give him the MVP.
Yeah, he can carry. He can also play defensive as well, because I expect there'll be quite a bit of action in the bottom side of the map. So he will be able to protect his tower once he hits level 6, protect his ADC on top of that. So we'll see if that comes out. We've got Ryze on the opposite side, and you've got a Lee Sin. Like, I feel like EDG are going to at least try and hit some of these lanes early from Vici.
Yeah, mid lane for me is going to be a primary focus when it comes to how Haro's pathing. He wants to look towards mid lane, just because there's a lot of setup that he can get there with the Ryze. And on top of that, even if it doesn't turn into a gank, Azir and Corki are great champions to gank if you can't get the kill, just because they expend a lot of mana getting away from you. If he has to use all 3 abilities that he has just to kind of just swoop away, then you're just like, well, good luck laning. You might have to base very soon.
Yeah, go back to base. Yeah, Valkyrie literally is like a quarter of your mana pool early.
Yeah.
It's pretty horrible.
So if you find yourself just like pathing towards top lane, you're like, maybe I can get a gank here. They can't really stop me. It doesn't really showcase where I'm going, or at least they can't stop me from diving top. Then I'll just get a visit through mid lane, and hopefully it chunks their mana, and it gives Ryze a pretty good point to pressure the lane so he can follow through on the jungle. So I want to see Haro and Scout just kind of communicate with each other and see where they end up going, because bottom lane has some gank potential with the Alistar,
yeah,
but I expect more mid to top plays.
Then again, top lane doesn't really exist. Like, it's double tanks in the top lane.
Yes, but it's only because we haven't seen a lot of Shen play. When it was Shen top lane consistently, a lot of the plays would just be dive Shen, or like not dive Shen, but pressure top lane. So
yeah,
the point of focus is top lane rather than focusing bottom side of the map.
Well, I believe the EDG fans have entered the house.
There they are.
We found him. Wait, did Vici even get a chant?
They were there a little earlier on.
Yeah,
I had faith.
Okay.
I was talking, so I probably should have shut up.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those moments.
It's all good. Maybe they just went at the same time. We've got some of these fans, they just kind of start cheering at the same time. They get a bit combative.
Fist fights.
It's my turn. I don't know if I've had that yet, but it's my turn to chant. 100 games as a duo in the LPL.
Caveman and Long have been together for a very long time.
Long live Long and Caveman.
Yeah, when it's come down to a discussion about Vici historically in the LPL, Long's been with them for so long. Caveman. Martin's really only joined. He just kind of jumped ship from Snake into Vici.
Yep.
Last split, I would say. EasyHoon's been there for a little bit, but
For a while now, yeah.
yeah. Honestly, I would say the players for Vici, the franchise players, to me, would be Luong, which is why it's so surprising that Meow has been playing for so long.
Yeah, true. Looking at these keystones, I see the problem. I see why Vici have not won a game yet, because they don't invest heavily enough into inspiration.
Ah, yes, of course.
That is the problem.
100%.
I've diagnosed it.
Case shut. Yeah. Crash going into Fleet Footwork. We've seen this from Sejuani's. Recently, we've seen a lot of resolve Sejuani's primary, but Fleet Footwork is essentially think about how fast you're jungling, how healthy you're coming out of it, especially thinking about how Haro is going to be pathing, because Lee Sin would love to be inside of Sejuani's jungle, kind of trying to get a scuffle going.
It just means you come out of jungle with like full HP at all time, because
Exactly.
the passive activates on monsters, so
Feels
you
good.
Yeah, feels super good. It's especially good on Yorick jungle for those Yorick jungle players out there.
And it technically doesn't descale. Like once you get into the later portions of the game, you have like 18% like attack speed, just basically, well, quite a bit actually. Not only from your trait from going into Precision Tree, but also from the attack speed that you get in the Alacrity as well. So just going from that means that Crash gets a lot more auto attack procs, a snare, the stun that comes through. So technically more damage in longer team fights, just because Sejuani works really well with attack speed.
I love how you completely dodged me talking about Yorick jungle, by the way.
I don't want to talk about it. Don't even bring
I
that
feel
discussion
like
here.
Every other color caster would have called me out. So that's why I like casting with you, Raz. You understand me.
No, I don't. I just avoid it.
You just ignore the question. There you go. Crash just insta-pop in the crowds because he can do that on Sejuani. Nice
Excellent.
champ.
Wonderful.
Now he's invading.
So-
Gonna get a deep ward down.
He's going to be a little bit surprised, just because Lee Sin hasn't showcased himself on the map yet. He's hidden himself quite well, and has taken Krugs as well. So he's gone for a completely full clear, Haro has. So Sejuani's like, well, you know what? I guess I can take Gromp. I don't exactly know where Lee Sin is. I'm pretty sure he's topside. It's just an indication.
Yep.
Like, a gut feeling.
A hunch, if
Yeah.
you will.
So it's probably going to force Crash to look to take his own Krugs. Otherwise, he falls behind in experience.
Yeah, and he has gotten double craps though, so I feel like he's doing okay in terms of experience against Haro. Let's see the runes here. Precision and inspiration.
Okay. So lethal tempo is one thing that we don't get to see a lot when it comes to AD carries. They've gone just shied away from it, gone towards fleet footwork. And a lot of AD carries have actually just gone towards spellbook anyways. Kalista is different just because she's trade reliant too. More attack speed on her auto attacks really well works well with her rend stacks as well. So she just gets so much damage off of it. One of the only AD carries I can look at and you say, you know what, you get a pass. You can take lethal tempo.
It's absolutely fine. It's just a coincidence that Vici just across the board hasn't taken much inspiration. Like, they have secondary tree, but not primary. Haro's looking towards mid lane now. It's what we talked about in Champion Select. Want to see if we can get that pressure down into EasyHoon. Maybe chunk his mana, chunk his health, take away some of those summoner spells.
Yeah, just look out how EasyHoon has to play here. Because he actually, even if Haro wasn't there, he still had to play incredibly respectfully because he needs to fully push this in, and he doesn't have the ability to do that. So he played it patiently, waited for the wave to come bouncing back towards him. So he didn't necessarily need to call Crash, but that's something you have to focus on because half the players in this league would have probably pushed in to fully commit to the wave, and that would have been a call for a dive.
And now he knows he was in the bottom side, so he knows that playing respectfully there was the right decision. Because the good deep ward out from Crash, actually on both camps, on bottom side and top side. So should be able to track Haro as he goes towards his Raptors as well. You can see just multiple pings coming down from Vici. Going towards the top side, I mean, it's just a farming frenzy.
But this is what I love to see from Crash and Luong. Luong went for a trade, and Crash had him backed up. Dre went for a full commit on that fight with his Ignite that he had picked up for himself, because he has Spellbook. Ray would have lost entirely. So it's nice to see that that's going to be a point of focus.
Ooh, in the bottom lane. This actually might just be a kill here onto Caveman, looking for the flashes here, running through onto the portal. Caveman, one more auto attack will do it, but ultimate coming down from Long may or may not have been necessary, but now he's trapped in the bottom side.
Yeah, very unnecessary. I'll just put that out there. Caveman was probably screaming in comms saying, help! Somebody help me! Was definitely necessary, the calls, but Long definitely knee-jerk. The only thing that could follow up was the Q from iBoy, and that was not going to be enough to kill him.
Feeling sentimental, perhaps. This is their 100th game together, so
Oh,
I will
course.
protect you
Yes.
till the end of time,
This is-
Caveman.
This is why we work together well. I'm
I go
always
bot
there
lane
for
and
you.
forfeit 3 waves of minions. So I'll do this for you, buddy. Don't even worry about it.
On a serious note, that's definitely sad. He lost an entire wave for that ulti. Sure, K-Van and Martin are safe from that entire bottom lane scuffle, but Luong, we were kind of giving a lot of props to for that trade that he had earlier on, is going to come back into the lane and be like, well, you know what? I lost a lot.
It's one of those rare circumstances as well as the opposing top laner where you just don't want to interrupt them. Actually having map awareness there is super useful because
Yeah.
you just, it's like, all right, mate, you just watch them leave.
Have at it.
Mako is about to find K-Fan Crash. He's level 5 though. He doesn't have the ultimate just yet, but he does have stopwatch. Haru's winning over the wall, connects the Q. Triple knockup coming as well. Emperor's Divide gets the complete disengage. And Vici will make it out.
Ooh, Crash had to be careful there. Just because, sure, Alistar, you thought he was weak. He went golden for a little bit with a stopwatch, but he actually had a lot of damage in him. Just because he had fully stacked up his cowbells, I could say. And maybe he pulled out the bell just in case for it, just for the stun and extra damage. So that was a lot of burst that came on to Crash. So thankfully he's alive, but that was a real threat.
It was a good little look there from Vici. Ray in the top lane is going to land the ultimate. The Ornhorn is down, and Long going to have to make the trip back to his tower here. Forces the flash early. In fact, he was just very respectful of Ray's timings.
Yeah, Ray had flash as well as, of course, a knockup that was going to come off of cooldown. So that definitely would have been kill range on top of Luong. And all of that was just because Luong missed a wave, was, I believe, was just a few experience behind, getting constantly pushed in a matchup that he was actually trading quite well into. And so, he didn't have ulti, didn't have much. Sure, his ulti is completely supportive to the rest of the map, but he was just off-tempo because of the earlier play. So Ray just saw an opportunity to look for a kill and almost did it.
He was off-tempo, but he also went Tiamat, so if he'd gone for a tanky build, he would have been able to survive going back to tower, but unfortunately, if you can't win the trade, then you just have less. You have no defensive stats, essentially, in that situation.
It's a sad day.
It is a sad day, but it just means you can't go for those plays in the first place, right? Like, if you're going to push up, then don't try and trade against Ray in the first place.
Yeah, 10 CS behind, honestly. Here's the thing. I'd partly blame the fact that it was just because he ulted towards the bottom side of the map, but it was just because he...
100%.
Yeah, but it was because he didn't recognize that, you know what, he probably shouldn't have been pushing that far to begin with.
Yep. It's a bit of column A, bit of column B. Long's going to get the rest of this minion wave, though. Ray wants to back off. Guess he's near out of mana. Easyhoon's off map, but he is just taking blue buff right now, and he will go back to base. So it's probably Ray's first back of the game, to be honest. He's got teleport now.
And here's where the game gets a little bit worrying. I don't see a winning point of the map any longer for Vici. No, it wasn't in the top side of the map, though that was going to fizzle out a little later on anyways. Mid lane, sure, he has blue, but I'm expecting that the 2v2 is going to be highly in favor of Haru and Scout. And then on the bottom side of the map, we already saw the early skirmish that forced Caveman to base, forced him to just lose out in his sums earlier on. Mako and Ibo have been pushing in quite consistently. So it feels like Haru is able to do whatever he wants in the enemy jungle just because his lanes are winning.
That's pretty unfortunate as well, because you look towards Vici, and to be honest, they always want to scale no matter really what comp they're running. They'll always pick something scaling. Like, you will never see a Vici comp without one element at least that scales. But then to lose the early game is generally what happens to Vici. Like, they don't really turn online until I'd say like 40 minutes, and then they look for a fight, but by then, too much time has gone by.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I would say, summoners, tempo, just kind of getting upset because they would have ideally wanted a bottom lane fight, right? You have the Kalista level 6, Bard level 6, Sejuani level 6. They have Shen ulti now, but he's going to have a little bit of a problem. In theory, that was the play that they wanted to go for, is playing towards bottom lane, especially with Kog'Maw and Alistar constantly pushing lane. That's a longer lane for them to travel back to their turret. That's a great plan. But a lot of times, sums are being used defensively, and it creates a harder and harder, I would say, decision for Vici to make if they actually want to go for it. Because the counterplay is there for EDG. Double TP from Ray and Scout means that any play they go for, if they're not prepared, they lose.
And right now it just means Vici, they go back to good old farming. Nice nice Q there by Crash. Quick Arctic Assault, and the ultimate as well, completely stopping Haru in his tracks. That small play there by EDG will fizzle.
Yeah, that was a lose-lose situation for Crash. Had he used his Q right when Haru tagged him, then
Haru follows.
Yeah, he follows through. If he used it afterwards, then he can't go through the wall. So he essentially was locked in a situation where he needed to use Flash regardless.
Yeah, sad, because now he'll have to go back to base, and it means it opens up Dragon now for EDG. Caveman's already spotted over the wall, so this is a free take for Haro. We'll get the first Dragon here, and it will be Ocean Dragon.
It's been a very good game for Haro thus far. Sure, it's just 11 minutes, but at this point in time, he's been constantly keeping tabs on Crash.
Yep.
So his lanes are able to just constantly push in. iBoy and Mako are able to just constantly trade in, push in, do whatever they want. 14 CS ahead. It's going to just change just because they're on a, Vici's on a wave right now. But they're able to take aggressive points in their lanes just because Haro's constantly recognizing where Crash is. At that point, they had a ward set up on the red, so they know that Crash went towards his Krugs.
I will say part of that is the pushing lanes, as you already mentioned, because Crash was trying his damnedest to find Haro in the early game. Like, he placed down a deep ward on bot side, placed a deep ward onto Raptors, and it's like, great, I know exactly where Haro is the first, like, 5 minutes of this game, but as soon as mid gets pushed in, top lane, bot lane, like, he can't really push out, so Haro just gets to kind of do that, but it still shows what Haro can do from ahead.
Ooh, this is getting a little bit touchy. I don't know if Sejuani wants to kind of double down on this play. This is usually the play that a team would make if they want to look for a bottom lane dive. You even saw Azir look to kind of pivot out of the lane, so they could have looked for a bot lane dive with the ward behind towers so Long can TP. But the moment, you know, the Lee Sin sees you, catches the ward out, then the comms will be firing off for EDG that they can defend there. Look where Orin is positioned right now, constantly pushed up in wave in the lane. So he has an opportunity to want to TP and not lose too much.
Crash is going to spot Scout here. But it's not really a fight that he particularly wants. He's going to go back into his jungle. I mean, buffs are spawning right now, so there's something for the junglers to keep themselves occupied with for the next couple of minutes. Next round's going to be Mountain, so see if EDG maintain control over the area. But Crash has done all this legwork, so I'm wondering what he's looking towards. It seems like it's going to be blue buff here.
Okay. This is going to be interesting. There's no TP flank position for EDG, so this should be going uncontested.
Crash is just going to grab that one. And Mako's now spotted that one out. It doesn't look like Scout wants to move either, so we'll just be the blue buff take. Herald has now spawned as well, so we'll see if Haro moves towards the top side, tries to get something down, but so far, that's all Vici have really looked for.
Yeah, but it's gonna pay itself off. The fact that now Ryze will not be able to consistently push the lane against Azir. Azir will be able to do that pretty freely once he takes his own blue buff. But that's not gonna be an opportunity because apparently Vici's trying to set up for a dive.
I wanted to, though iBoy is actually just putting the pain down onto Caveman right now, plus Mako has ultimate.
Yeah, I think this is premature from Vici. Right now they shouldn't be going for this. I don't think Azir is ready for this play at all. They need to give blue buff to Azir so he can actually have priority in the lane. Otherwise, the fear is that suddenly EDG can and should be able to collapse.
I mean, if Scout moves first, and he moves very, very quickly. iBoy, he's in stasis, but Mako's buying time. Here comes Gent as well on top of that. He's going to use the Taunt Flash to get on top of iBoy. Another pin against the wall. It's going to be the first blood going over to Vici. Mako being caught up in this, but it's the counter gang coming in now. iBoy picks up the kill with the Icathian surprise. In comes Haro from the sidelines, and Long trying to turn this one around, but he's actually popping his hourglass. Ray trapped in place, but he is very tanky. He pops his own stopwatch. Needs the rest of the team to bail him out. Flashes away, but he's caught out by the Sejuani stun. Oh. He's going to turn this one around. And Haro of the damage. Trades 1-for-1 AD carry for top laner. Now EDG are looking to chase this one down. Scout has plenty of damage left to give. Mako coming in, flashes away. Long trapped in place by the Rune Prison, but they should be out. EasyHoon almost getting tagged by that.
Nice body block from Long. He's even going to TP top lane just to kind of catch out Ray and push out the wave. Excellent play from Caveman to follow it up. Really strong. I was second guessing it. I didn't like the play without having Azir. But you know what? If you can immediately kill iBoy, wipe him off the map, then anything is possible.
Caveman's going back into the bottom lane here, just trying to clear out this minion wave. Keeping EasyHoon and Crash actually in this bot side. Haro returns also to the play. But yeah, it will be 2 for 2 overall. Just taking a look at where that gold actually went to. One for both AD carries, one to Haro, and one to EasyHoon.
A little bit split up here. The fact that I think iBoy was able to get the kill onto Caveman with his Icathian surprise, that was really nice. Just to take a second look at this, this is where I was kind of skeptical because there are only members of the play here who's going to be coming up of Caveman, Vici, but the flash taunt from Long really isolates the Kog'Maw. From this point forward, it really should be an escape mission coming in from Vici. They're going to get followed up on. So they need to get out of there because they don't have Azir for quite a long time. But thankfully, once Azir comes through, EasyHoon plays keep away, so the rest of EDG don't follow up. What's great from this point forward, EDG can actually answer back. Look at Haro here. Gets a 3-man kick, follows it through, answers with a kill. That would have been instantly a great Vici play holistically if it wasn't for Haro's kicks.
Yeah, Haro really saved the day there. And plus that teleport from long complete evened up the top lane CS difference, so it was actually a pretty good play overall from Vici just to stabilize the game back to relative even. However, now iBoy and Mako will be able to pick up this bot lane tower.
Yeah, sad plays when it looks like one of your major plays, one of the best improvements you can look on as a team, that one playmaking moment, following through from long. Everything looked like it was working well with Vici, but they still come out behind in terms of gold because it was answered back from EDG with that one kick, and then they take a bottom lane tower and consistently move their AD carries to the next lane.
Yeah, Shen did manage to pick up a tower in response top lane. Actually not really sure where Ray went to. He may have just been coming back to lane from the earlier play. Though EDG are trying to use that bit of tempo that they had to move into mid lane now.
Yeah, it's just the difference between freeing up your top laner and freeing up your AD carry. You would much rather free up your bottom lane. It allows iBoy and Mako to set up for a play. Though I think they should just help and push the lane. They're pretty optimistic here.
They are, but Crash doesn't know where EDG are, but he has a feeling they're around this area. I mean, Dragon the spawn, so of course they're going to be around the bottom river. Crash is going to face check into this bush because there are 3 wards there currently from EDG, so they very much have this one warded.
They're coming in.
Crash wants to try and get this steal down. It's going to come down to a smite wall. Haro does secure it. Ray, nice double knock up there with the ram. In comes Mako. He's now trying to back away. EDG just want out of this play. They've already picked up the dragon. Ray's going to get trapped in place, though. He dies. So 1 for 0. Long caught out. iBoy finds a kill with the living artillery and now trying to cut them off as they try to retreat. Azir pops the ultimate, knocks Scout back into his team, but he's got the hourglass ready to go. iBoy finds one alongside Haro. And Martin, he's kiting into the tower. Haro will find the kill.
That was hilarious from Scout. The fact that he was actually going to make that ulti play to get right in between the entire team of Vici Gaming just because he had stopwatch and slow them down. So EDG pick up the fight and they follow it through.
Now I was having flashbacks of Messiah back in the good old days with the TF and the Zhonya's play. It's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, I was thinking TF too. That's the funniest thing about the stopwatch plays that you can make here. Doesn't matter what champion you are, if you can follow them and then just bait them into thinking, oh, we actually got a free kill. Scout's acting like an idiot. Wait a minute.
Inspiration tree exists.
He's a genius.
He's a genius, and that results in a couple kills for EDG, plus the dragon here as well. Crash, nice little attempt to try and get the smite, though.
Yeah, good flank here coming in from Ray. I really liked what Ray did here. 2-man knock-up and completely pushed away the rest of Vici's carries. It was looking pretty good for Vici, but then iBoy comes right in, flashes forward, gets the kill on long, and chases them through. So overall, EDG looked like once again the fight was not going to be fully on their side, but they come forward, chase down Vici, and end the fight.
Yeah, managing to split them up as well when they were moving in such a tight ball was such a great maneuver from Scout. Like, I was like, there's no way. But then Martin has to kite up because he can't kite into the rise at that point.
Yeah.
Nothing to hit, nothing to move back to the tower, so he's going to get caught out regardless. And EDG, it's just small things like that that really separate them. Like, regardless of whether Vici are just like their win conditions to try and find team fights the later you get into the game, EDG are just going to play these creatively.
And that's what's hilarious when it comes to certain teams that are still developing. Like we've talked about Fun plus Phoenix earlier on. These teams that you're like, well, they have good team fighting, but when they go up against better teams that are macro heavy, smarter, and then you look towards how the team fights are actually communicated or at least played out, they still get bested. So even though your strength ideally would be in team fighting, the team you're going up against is just better, likely because the communication is stronger.
Yeah. And ironically, that's the one part that iBoy was saying that they are weak at currently. So EDG, if they're weak at communication, is still better than the teams below them.
Exactly. So it just comes down to the idea, the context of it. They want to fix their communication because they want to become the best team. They're thinking of absolutes. Meanwhile, Vici Gaming is trying to get a little bit better time and time again to be competitive in the league. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, looking for this top play here.
Gets punted out. All right. It was the effort. That's all I really liked. You know what? They tried for it. They tried to make the play happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Not going to happen. I mean, at the very least, I like the fact that Caveman has picked Bard and is trying to make these plays happen. Because that's what they're trying to do right now. But ultimately, you miss every shot you don't take, Raz.
Exactly.
And you miss a lot of them that you do take as well. But at least you're trying.
Just love the fact that he tried to go through the portal and it was like punted out by Mako. It's like if you want to make this fight, you're gonna have to walk here. You ain't taking public transit, not at all.
What do you think I am? A pleb? Not gonna happen. We're taking this magical journey. How are we doing in terms of the game so far? So EDG, got about 2,000 gold lead. They've got the extra tower. Vici trying to get control over this Baron area, and they've pretty much got all the vision. I don't actually see a single ward from EDG right now around Baron. So you can see, please scout it. Scout, help. I was like, Raz, scout it.
He definitely scouted it with his ulti. Saw nothing. Like, all right, they're not on the Baron. Would be surprised if they were because Azir was top lane.
Yep.
So that was still very weird from Scout, be wanting to check that out. That being said, looking back at it, I still believe even though Vici went for that clear and vision, they still are going to lose all those wards. They didn't have mid lane properly cleared out. Azir was top side of the map, so it makes it easier for EDG to say, wait a minute, we'll just retake vision and push you out in 2 of your lanes, both mid lane and top lane.
Yep.
So it's like, sure, Vici know that they need to get vision control of Baron side, but they need to focus on the waves adjacent to it so they can actually upkeep it, maintain it.
Like the Haro is basically playing Lee Sin as Jarvan right now. He's going for the Black Cleaver. I mean, he's basically rich because he's got 3 of those 5 kills.
Yeah, he's banking.
EDG
quite well.
Making a play on blue buff here. I mean, Crash managed to get that earlier blue buff, so it's about time it goes over to EDG.
My God, Mako's tanky. He has a righteous glory, too. He's actually just going to run at your face. So there's no way that Vici wanted to be even close to that just because Alistar is face tanking you. And if you want to fight, if you're in range of it, he's going to go for the flash knockout. Now, he doesn't have flash. It's close to it. It's close to being up. But the next play, you have to believe that EDG are going to just pull the trigger.
He's actually so rich. Righteous glory already. It's really crazy. 8.2. So let's get even more gold. Again, there's basically a free 800 gold.
Feels good.
Feels good, man. Horn, tearing up the minion wave.
He's going to sacrifice himself for this tower.
Wow, there's a lot of damage coming in from Ray. Long didn't expect it, I didn't expect it, but now he has to run away from Ray. He's going to get the knock-up as well. Still following down. He's got the brittle, but Long will eventually make it out.
I was wondering if he was going to sacrifice his life for that turret. Look at him. He's even laughing in the player cams as well. Surprised that the base damage of Ornn is that high with his Ornn horn. So everything was just hitting long, and apparently they all just accumulatively did a lot of damage.
To be honest, we were all just expecting it to go for the minion wave, but Dragon, or rather Baron, has been started by Vici. Haro, Mako. Hello, where's the vision? Haro's just waiting to watch. He's recalling, and now that they see the Baron's just got over, what was that?
They just weren't in position for it. They really were not. And they were going up against the Kalista composition. Haro probably was like, I'm not going to try and steal it. Haro's had some really good steals this split. No way you steal it versus Kalista and Smite. So they were really out of position and just conceded it.
I reckon you just go for it.
No! No! Not at all.
Maybe Kalista doesn't have enough Ren stacks. I don't know. I'm not even sure if they had a vision, though.
Never try for it. I know that in the last split we saw a steal against the Kalista.
Yeah, we did.
That's a suicide play.
But it still happened.
I don't want to hear it.
Just because something seems impossible. I mean, like, of all the regions as well, Raz, this is the LPL. Like, plays are often made on the fact that people think they can outplay, so they just go for it.
But if EDG's trying to be a better team, a perfect team...
Get down in the mud with Vici.
No.
Get in there.
You've heard that. You've heard my answer. So this is really good for Vici. The fact that they've just netted themselves a free Baron and suddenly, immediately are pushing towards the bottom side of the map.
Get one tower. Gonna pick up second tower. Tower did a lot of damage, just that minion wave and the backline from Vici. Haro's got the Q connected. He's thinking about it. Lee Syndrome is about to kick in, but he does pull out. So no second tower on the bot side, but Vici, if they can pick another tower or try and get some more gold from this Baron play. Oh, that was always good timing as well. Yeah, Long's going to pick up anyways.
Yeah, would have gotten the bonus damage off of that ulti just because of how low the Baron, the red buff was. So, unfortunate timing for iBoy. Still had good sense, recognizing immediately that it was being stolen away. But that's kind of an expectation you have from this point forward. Titanic Hydra being picked up by Long means that he's going to have the push pressure top lane. And then if he can constantly output that, then red side jungle is going to be stolen away from Haro unless if he does something quickly.
Yeah, I am wondering what's going to happen, though, once Baron buff times out from Vici. I feel like we may just go back to the game state that we had like 2 minutes ago. It does really depend on how much damage that EasyHoon's going to be outputting.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. He's going to land the ultimate. In comes Scout from the side as well. EasyHoon takes a bunch of damage, goes Emperor's Divide in the meanwhile. Lockdown coming in from Caveman, stalling out the fight. Crash backing off and teleport in from Long. He felt like that was necessary.
I don't know if this fight is something that Vici should take. Look how low Easy Hoon is throughout that one. He got bursted out and they still thought that they can try and take it.
Yeah, I don't see a world where EDG really gets sieged here. They're at full HP and iBoy's still ready and kicking, rearing to go. Top lane though is pushing in, so someone will be sent to that.
Hitting on to your earlier point about what Vici can do without Baron once it does time out, you're right. A lot of those questions are justifiable of whether or not Vici can actually look to siege turret, make a play going if they haven't earlier before. I guess this is an easy answer.
Well, yeah, this works. The Scout is trapped on the bot side. Teleport
Yeah,
coming in.
Oh, wait a minute.
He's buying some time. Teleport's going to come down. Can Ray get there in time? Saracen Brace gives him so much extra health and shielding. It's not going to be enough, though, because Long also comes into the play. Now, Ray may also die for this because Magical Journey is going to allow them to come in and collapse. Ray is against the wall. Should be able to land at least a double knock-up here. Oh, he's been stunned in place. iBoy, in comes the cavalry. Is it here in time, though? Because the rest of Vici have also turned into the play. Martin gets the kill into Ray. And now EDG need to get out. One by one, they walk into Vici.
I just... Good lord. All right.
It's not even stopping. Mako's now caught out in this one. He pops the ultimate, but he's going to get Emperor's Divided back into Caveman, back into Martin, who's got the Ren ready to go. Caveman somehow picks up the kill. 4 kills, literally one by one.
And this could be 2 towers for Vici. The fact that they followed through, kudos on Vici. They found a play onto Scout. It started with Scout. Scout was split pushing without his ulti. And usually the play with Ryze is if you're split pushing, you have Zhonya's and ulti to get you out of that scenario. He wasn't going to get out of that case. So you know what? EDG had to follow through. They weren't prepared. They get shut out, and now Vici get themselves an inhibitor.
Yeah. But that was really like the buy one, get one free, get one free, get one free deal. we get Scout, and then apparently we just get the whole team.
That reminds me of, you know, my trips through Tim Hortons. Roll up the rim. You find out you get a free coffee. The next one, you get a free coffee. You just keep getting stacked up with coffee. You get Scout immediately, and you're like, well, you know what? This is a pretty good deal. I like this. I'll keep coming back to this
wait, there's more.
And then the coffees just keep stacking up. So yeah, Ornn is going to take a long time to die. This is why EDG thought this was a good fight to take to back him up, because Kog'Maw has quite a bit of damage. He's going to travel through, and since everybody is looking to try and kill Ornn, maybe he can immediately take down the Bard. Oh, wait a minute. Bard is gold. Bard has stopwatch. It's League of Stopwatch. Maybe kill the next target. And so they kept having to change their targets because they didn't press tab and realizing that Vici had a counterplay to that. And they lost. They all lost.
They did. Big loss. That just feels bad, honestly. They lose an inhibitor because of that as well, EDG. They've got 3 dragons. They've been playing pretty much everything else rather well.
Yeah,
but that's Baron play into the pick and bot lane is all Vici needed.
And it is the worst inhibitor to lose in League of Legends. The bottom lane inhibitor, especially when you realize Baron's coming up in a minute 30, it's free pressure for Vici Gaming to recognize that this Baron play, they can just stick around there forever how long it takes. And that it's up to EDG to send someone down towards the bottom lane. It's going to be Ornn, but Ornn doesn't have his teleport. So that can speed up Vici Gaming's process and when they want to fight.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, Scout could change his summoners to teleport here, but you really would like to have the Ghost, so they are still sending Ornn bot lane. Maybe they can at least fake out Vici, saying that like Ornn probably has his teleport up, like it is close enough.
Yeah, I mean, if you're bad with timing your summoners, and if you don't know if he has you know, certain cosmic insight, if you don't know, well, now you know, you 100% know that he has Spellbook. Does he have? Oh, no, okay, so he has Merc Treads as well. So there's nothing, you know what? Suddenly, they just don't do the maths, and they're like, all right, we have no idea if he has TP or not.
He will have it 100% for Baron, so it's not going to be the worst in the world for them.
Uh-oh.
I'm still calling this one the SOFM bush.
Explain it to me.
SOFM, he literally sat in that bush for an entire game.
Ah, yeah. I remember that one. Yeah. Happens quite a bit. It's one of those. It's a free bush where you can, if you're on an engaged jungler like a Lee Sin or a Jarvan, which he's on a lot, then watch the support player from the enemy team walk over, because you know what? You don't have vision on Baron, so you have to walk over there if you want to get vision on Baron.
It's true.
It's like, ah, wait a minute, I'm dead. I don't know if Mako's gonna die anytime soon though. Look at that HP bar.
He's pretty tanky. Well, he's got a lot of health. In terms of resistances, he's got less. But, I mean, ultimately, in a team fight, he just needs his ultimate. So, the health will give him a lot of effective health there. Caveman's waiting. He sees Haro. He's probably going to stop coming into the play as the Ornn comes in. Gets a knock up onto Crash, but that's about it. EDG did not really want that. And That was also Righteous Glory used by Mako.
Yeah, all of this was just basically wasting EDG's time. The minions are now going straight in towards the EDG base. EDG need to send a member back.
Oh, this is pretty bad because Kallista's starting to stack up Ren stacks. Mako, he's just around the corner. He's about to see the state of the Baron. Teleport's coming in now from EDG. This is now or never, but Ren is going to secure this Baron. 2,000 damage coming in from the Kallista. Pausing the fight for a second as we went for Tempered Fate. Easy Hoon getting the first kill. Long on top of iBoy. Second goes over to Vici. And right now the rest of EDG are in disarray. Assassination in the backline from Haro onto Easy Hoon is all they managed to get because will be the dropship taken out by Scout and Ray. Unfortunately, there's no escape for him.
This is massive. Know that Long has TP after this. This is 4 members down on EDG, and they have a wave to work with to end the game.
This might actually be it here, Raz. Scout, he's the only one defending, and Long, he's literally just unkillable right now. Trying to clear out this mini wave, that's the best that Scout can do.
Wait a minute, they might have to rethink this one. 15 seconds, of course, on iBoy and Mako. They don't have a wave yet. They're going to try anyways, but this is going to be rough.
Oh, Flash Torn in from Long might be what they need here. Scout trying to make it desperately back to the spawn pad, does manage to do so. First tower down, minions are in range. It's down to half. iBoy, Mako, everybody coming back up. And just gets that triple knock-up in from Mako. iBoy is now unleashed onto the front line. Finds one, Long getting chased down as well. And EDG looking for the cleanup.
All right, they didn't think it through. Abort the mission.
Abort the mission.
Run!
Long. Oh, I don't think he can do it. If you got Haro around from the side, he
him.
should be able to cut him off. I believe he has mobility boots, but yeah, catches up just in time to land the Rune Prison. 2 kills, and Mako, he's still hunting. Martin and Crash.
Where you think you're going? No, Mako. All right, we're fine. It's okay.
Azir was back. It was a bit too risky at that point, but it was about to turn into a horror movie.
So that was sticky. that was a sticky
That was a bit grimy, Raz.
Press tab, look at the death timers, and make your decision. They thought they could go for it, but they didn't go for it because they realized that was everybody on EDG up and available, and they weren't going to be able to complete it. Now we're rewinding it way back to this fight. Both Rise and Ornn are not a part of this. They're TPing in. This is a decision that Vici have to make, whether they want to commit to this fight or not and take the free Baron. Easy Hoon, with an excellent ulti on top of Kog'Maw, solidifies the fight for Vici. That was the most active play I've seen from Easy Hoon, all split long, and it netted them the fight.
Finally, we see why Azir is to be feared from Easy Hoon. Gets it in a late game team fight. I mean, to be honest, like this is when Vici actually turn online. If they're able to get to like 30, 40 minutes into a game, they actually look pretty good because they can actually like play macro, they can play team fights, they play well, they have scaling, like great. But usually they're not gifted the opportunity to get here. So the early Baron, earlier Baron just allowed them to get to this point.
I'll just say that I'll go a step farther. Sure, the early Baron definitely made the game for Vici, but we saw more committed fights from them. And it felt like that it was not only just Caveman throwing the ulti in to start the fight, but it was Long to follow it through. And so I feel like that with the additional Long, these team fights are looking so much better for
Caveman
Vici.
is also just opening up opportunities for them right now. Ornn comes out, gets a knock up onto the ADC, but just the front line, who's going to get knocked away by Ray and Mako. Front line starting to crumble. Haro down into his Guardian Angel. Mako is taking a beating, but the rest of the carries unable to really get any damage down right now. And again, Ray is just left to die. The eternal sacrificial lamb.
Now they won't be able to follow up. This is going to be difficult for Vici to try and chase them down, but they can get a lot of turrets in the meanwhile.
They can at least take mid lane. Let's see if they can take the inhibitor as well. As be putting more and more pressure down onto EDG. There should be the inhibitor here, though Haro and his team are in fast pursuit now. It doesn't look like they want to go for it. They know if they lose one more fight here, it's basically nights out.
This is it for EDG.
Yeah, Vici deciding just to play it safe, go for the inhibitors first. Elder Dragon's going to be coming up relatively shortly.
I don't know about this being playing it safe if you're Vici. They want this Nexus.
Ooh, Mako, he just gets the dive in, and iBoy, he does a lot of damage, takes down Crash. They are looking for the chase. Haro jumps in, Resonating Strike comes out, and the Magical Journey will get them to relative safety. Doesn't look like EDG want to follow.
Yeah, Vici really wanted to just get the hits down on the Nexus. They thought they could finish the game, so they were like, we'll throw it all for it. We don't need minions. We don't need extra turrets. We just need ourselves. But then immediately Crash dies.
Yeah, unfortunate. He's just a big ball of health, not many resistances, so Kog'Maw's going to eat through that one very, very quickly.
Yeah, just taking a look at his itemizing. All of that is just essentially creating more shields for his team, larger shields for his team. the Locket of the Iron Solari is getting the extra shield from not only the Warmogs, but the extra HP that he gets from Gargoyle Stoneplate. So he's just going to pop Gargoyle Stoneplate and be a shield tank for his team. But if he gets focused down, there's not really much resistance to his name.
That's exactly what happened there, unfortunately. Next round is going to be Elder, and the fact that EDG have 4 Elder Dragons means that if they manage to pick it up somehow, some way, it'll be very, very strong. Might be able to take a team fight, because iBoy is getting big. iBoy's getting very big. That's always something that Vici have to keep an eye out for.
Yep. It's one of those games where you can't count out EDG. We've seen these games historically from EDG where they lose 3 inhibitors and still somehow win the game. One of those moments where you still have to just like pucker up, wait for it just a little bit. If you're Vici, focus. You really do have to play this one calmly. 2 plays where they lost members just because they weren't calm and they tried to end the game. They can't allow that to happen once again.
They go to the one lane that they can go to, which is top lane. Baron's going to be spawning in about 90 seconds. Haro putting around the side. See if he can find himself a flank, but Caveman, good ward there, spotting out Haro.
That's the second time Caveman has caught out a Haro flank in motion. I think Caveman has had an exceptional game, not just because of his ultis, but because of his positioning in general.
Yep. Just keeping those opportunities away from EDG at this point in time. Long soon, the classic Shen thing, sticking in the side lane.
If you look at EDG, their only real abilities to start these fights, or at least get the fights in favor of them, is either the kick from Haro or a flanking Mako. That's it. Other than that, Ray needs to play front to back. There's not really much you can do as a flanking Orange.
No, there's not. No, he's all about that ultimate to get his fight started. But right now, we're seeing Vici somewhat stalled and finding it quite difficult to push up to these towers. I mean, the only tower that exists for EDG.
They just need to be having their eyes on the Shen. Listen to him. When is he pushing the wave in? When can he join you? These are a lot of questions they need to ask. Not so much themselves, literally just ask Luong. Because he's taking jungle camps because he's not really comfortable pushing up against Scout. Scout will be able to solo him out in the lane. So if I'm Shen, you push the bottom side of the map. If Ryze answers, you go mid and you push that side of the map. And then you follow your team for a dive. And suddenly Ryze is not there in a 4v5. They're going for Baron.
Started, yeah. Easy Hoon's the one on retreat right now, but in comes the Ornhorn. He's about to get this knock up, only onto 2. That was a spell shield popped as well, that it looked like.
Now Luong had to use his ulti to rejoin his team, but Vici are once again back in a comfortable position, knowing that 2 inhibs are down and that they can rely based on that.
EDG sitting in the river right now. I mean, really, it just come down to this, but you've got supers in the bot lane, supers in the mid lane. That's the one that's being pushed out, but bottom lane about to become an issue.
If you're EDG, you have to push through. You have to force the fight by starting Baron yourselves. Then Vici are in a position where they have to stop EDG taking Baron. I wonder what's the plays here.
Ray's shown, so Vici have started the Baron. They know that if you can put EDG in a vice right here, Martin needs to get in these stacks up, and that's all they really need right now. Crash can tank for basically indefinitely at this point in time. Mako on the front lines. It's all coming down to these stacks. They know that even if Haro comes in for the attempt, he won't be able to get it, but in comes the ultimate in from Scout. Didn't choose to follow through. Teleport completed. Ornhorn once again gets the slow down, the knock up as well onto Azir. Stops the shifting sands, but now he's back into the fight. Ray at the front.
Haro!
Double ultimate, big kick coming in from Lee Sin, but he's instantly gobbled up. Crash on the front lines with the gargoyles, and Mako doing what he can to tank up that front line. All eyes on iBoy. Does he have the damage? He's taken out by Long. This could be it. Vici, they've scattered EDG. Scout cannot get out of there. Flashes over the wall, but Vici about to finish him off. Doesn't have the damage. 2 remaining members. Not going to be enough from EDG, and Vici are closing in now for the win.
Yeah, Long's TPing through. He sees it in his sights, and his team will follow him very soon.
Yeah.
What a game for Vici.
Ray and Haro, they can only really look on as the cavalry is now arriving from Vici.
This is painful to watch.
This really is, because Long does no damage, but in comes Kalista, and Vici, they've done it. They've taken game 1 against EDG.
Imagine your first win in the LPL being against EDG. Not series win, just a single game.
1 map. They've done it. Vici, they've squared up. Because
we'll meet you in game 2.
Because they were definitively last in the LPL. Even TOP had 1 win. Not a series, but a single win. And now Vici have done it as well. And over EDG, no less.
It's just nice to see Vici, the whole team, including Long, back. Because there were a lot of questions levied towards, well, why isn't Long on the map? Why isn't he playing for the team? He has been wearing the Vici jacket for years now. So the lack of Long was very puzzling. And you got to see his team fights.
Yep.
That was a major focus because sure, Baron, the random Baron was gifted to Vici. That's a major mistake that EDG made. But from that point forward, Vici was not making poor decisions.
I agree with you, Raz, but I feel like it came down to two major things, and one was the Baron,
Yeah.
and two was the buy one get one free play in bot lane.
Oh, that was fun.
Which was the two nails in the coffin that just ended it, to be honest. And I looked towards Long, and yes, the team fighting was very good. He was making the right decisions. He was landing some fantastic flash taunts onto iBoy, setting up Easy Who to make those plays.
Yes.
But I also feel like Meow would have done very similar had he been given the opportunity to go to late game team fights.
But the problem is he's been put in those late game team fights, but he's been playing not so much those team fighting champions other than Cho'Gath, and we have also seen it's probably just a communication thing.
Yeah.
It's not a problem with like how he's playing on the map. It's more so how they're playing as a team. That Crash
Sure.
hasn't been playing topside a lot of the times, and you can sure levy that towards Crash, but if the communication is now there for the team, seems like it's better for Vici, and it seems like it's netted them a game.
I mean, it's difficult to tell, right? Because at the end of the day, like, they've never really gotten to a late game team fight when they've been on equal gold. Like, usually they've just been battered down in the early game enough, or at least the pressure on the map has been enough to the opposing team, where Meow hasn't really been able to show what he can do in team fights on equal footing, whereas Long has been able to go for those fights at a gold advantage, or at least even.
That's true. Well, it's nice to see them at least kind of find that win now that they've actually got Long on the team.
Yeah, it is indeed. We'll see if they can replicate it in Game 2 and actually make this one happen. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk, though, to take a look at that Game 1 win to Vici.
Thank you very much, Richard, Pulse, Cam, and Barento Raz Mohammed, everyone on the cast for that. But joining me here, we've got Rusty once again. My name is Dom. Let's break down what just happened, because I think what we just heard from the casters at the end of that game was something important that we're going to have to break down a little bit, was that Game 1 seemed like a bit of a game of mistakes for EDG.
Yeah, look, I came into this set and I was like, well, definitively there's no chance for Vici. I said that. I said that before the game started.
I asked if there's a snowball's chance, and you said, hey, we never know.
Yes, and I did say anything
I'm
is
bailing you out here.
possible.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, what happened was good things from Vici. It wasn't necessarily just a plethora of mistakes from EDG. They definitely existed, and the mistakes were what tipped the game in the end to be a win for Vici. But even before those mistakes, Vici were even. The game was even, when all we've seen, all split long from Vici so far, is they've been losing. And then they get into that fight where EDG would make the mistake, but Vici were behind, they couldn't kill the person. So again, we get to see the first proactive move. This is the Bard engagement. The headbutt goes a bit awry from Mako, and it lets them follow up with a kill onto iBoy. Now, what iBoy is currently experiencing is known as a grey screen. He sees that for the rest of the game, because all they do is kill him, and there's actually no counterplay for EDG if iBoy is dead. He was all of their damage. He is the composition, and they just consistently got him. And that's where, like, EDG's draft is really good at front to back. And these fights, if EDG were engaging, would probably look really good. But Vici are going forwards, and with that whole composition being wildcards, you know, of Shen always being there, the Bard ultimate for stasis, not just for crowd control, sets them up to succeed every time.
Yeah, and while we did see some of those fights for Vici Gaming pan out well, the front to back, I believe there was a fight at the Dragon where it was all around iBoy looking for that W cooldown, the Bio-Arcane Barrage, which EDG then proceeded to win later on, but Vici Gaming, dare I say it, they managed to keep their cool and maintain that forward pressure momentum against EDG of all teams. And, you know, we say the motto of EDG is prove them wrong with results. Well, Vici might be borrowing that motto here today.
Yeah, and a lot of it was actually based off tempo. I think is the biggest thing that I would take away from game number one is EDG were dancing to the beat of Vici's drum. The whole game. Every time that there was an engage, every time something happened, Vici was setting it up. They went over to the Baron. They decided to start the Baron. EDG didn't ward it in time. Mistake from EDG, but Vici did it. The gank bottom that we just saw in the replay, Vici did it. They go to the Baron, they force fights constantly, and it's the ability to set these things up, start these things off that Vici are doing that we haven't seen, where EDG, to counteract that, need to actually be more proactive in the future. And of course, this is that last fight when it felt like all hope was lost for EDG, but they had to make the desperation play. Caveman once again, absolutely sick. And then Easy Hoon couples it. Again, iBoy experiences that thing we know as the grey screen. It was a very poor experience, actually, for him, and thankfully Haru's able to get something on the back end.
Raz said it himself during the analyst desk, or excuse me, during the cast itself. That was perhaps one of the best plays that we've seen out of Easy Hoon the entire split. Even as we were watching the game, you were saying, all right, Easy Hoon, he's got all of his abilities. He's ready to flank. He's got flash. He's going to heal. He's going to go in anytime now.
Yeah.
Anytime now.
Yep, and he just never went in. And to be honest with you, I agree with Raz. Let's just say definitively that was the best play that Easy Hoon has made all split, because it's the only one that he's made all split. But that was the best one.
Well, hey, name a more iconic duo, Easy Hoon and Azir. A good play is bound to happen eventually.
Of course.
That being said, though, he did have the support of Long in the top lane. This guy on that Shen making his return 100% kill participation. We've been talking about the communication for the team. Well, suddenly a Shen seems to make it so much easier.
And it's so good to have Lung back, it seems. I know Raz has mentioned this already, and I do agree with him. I don't know what the exact reason is. They play a similar style, but Lung provides something to this roster that Vici didn't have until right now. And for me, it's Caveman and Lung working together, being proactive and engaging. He's there on time. He's saving the Bard, and then he's engaging with the Bard. And they're going from top to bottom. They're working as a full cohesive unit, and that's just a pleasure to see, honestly, from the side of Vici.
Yeah, some very impressive plays out of both the top and the bottom laner. Of course, they're going to get refreshed and ready for this game number 2. We're going to go ahead and do the same, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with that game 2.